So now we return after the foam has been glued to the surface. This has been all glued together. The next step is quite simply to take the pad, center it on there, and push the clip tight down so it locks. If there's any glue coming through, you simply push it in, out of the way with a thin blade, and it is locked and done. So that is the end of a cleaning head. Very quick, it's very simple. You do not need to glue this ring on, it locks on by itself. It's the foam pad, makes a good pad head. That is the manufacturing of the head. Now we move on to what we have with the box. And these are the parts that we had problems with that I'm waiting for, but I can at least show you. These parts got broken, so we're replacing them. So the next step would be to simply glue these two parts together. These were broken because they didn't fit properly. Now the new ones will fit. So you glue them together, and then they simply pop into this slot right here and glue into that slot so that they will look like this. So that's what it's supposed to look like when it's glued in, and we're waiting for the replacement parts to do that. So now you've got these two parts glued in, they're glued there. We move on to the next step of assembly. The next parts are simple to glue together also. You have the square nut, which you put in one side, and you see that one side of this has a indentation up, or a protrusion up, and it fits into the indentation. And so you simply, again with super glue, we glue this Obviously, my technology for gluing is not as good as yours will be. There we go. So you got the glue. You run it down the side, all the way, into there. Gosh. I'm making it look a lot harder than it really is. Down the side here. There we go. Make sure we put a nut in there that's not glued. Attach this. And we have that part done and ready to be set aside as a glued piece. And you can see that once it is glued, the square nut slides up and down inside of it. We set that aside. The next part is the camera holding clip. So again, we just simply glue around the outside of the lip. Put it together. It snaps together nicely. So that part is complete. We set that aside. The next part is taking the motor cowling, inserting the motor into it, making sure that it engages and spins the motor, and it's a good fit. On this one I like to use a hot glue gun and simply put just a touch of hot glue carefully on both sides so that it holds the motor in place, but it does not interfere with the cowling wheels at all. It doesn't accidentally glue the rear lid in place or anything like that. It still spins freely. And then at this point we take it and we insert it into the hole and make sure that it's lined up perfectly, straight in all directions, and then we super glue that into, or not super glue, but hot glue that into place. And that's where we make sure that it still turns very well. It's lined up good. Make sure that it's turning. And make sure that it is straight in both directions before it cures. It's critical that it does not bind or catch in any direction. And that it is secure in that area. And this is also a good time to super glue the wire into place so that it's held without movement right there. Sure it still spins, still lines up, still held down in there properly. And this is where choosing the right glue that cures quickly and solidly will help. Okay. I think it's good. Obviously took longer than it should, but you get the idea. And set that aside to cure. So this next step can be improved if we're able to eliminate these plugs on each end and simply get a motor that has a longer wire, which would be great if we could source that. But here's the box. From the inside we have our circuit board. We insert it through the hole, and then we now insert this through the hole. So it'll be mounted like this. We glue it red wire to red wire, plug it into so the red wire lines up with the red wire, the black wire lines up with the black wire. In this case it's like that. And then we take the hot glue gun and secure that in place there. Okay. So that will become part of this piece. It'll be secured in there tightly. And as we're waiting for that to cure, we set that aside and let that dry. You can see that that is hot glued. The wires run through the hole and it's hot glued there. So now we can see the way this looks with the motor installed. The wire runs down, it goes through the hole, back to where it's glued, and out into there. So the next step would be to apply the cleaning head, which must be done when this is open so that you can hold the gear from turning to make sure you can screw it on properly. So I will demonstrate that. You apply your glue to the hole here. And then you use a screwdriver to keep it from turning as you screw this on. First you can hold the back of the cowling, and you want this to get screwed down very tight, and so now you put a screwdriver into the gear and you screw it very tightly until it can go no further with too much more tension. Now you can see that it turns freely and is glued on the way you want it.